If someone gets mad at you for using a knife, don't use it as an opportunity to get mad back. Think of it as an opportunity to change someone's life. We're going to be talking about that and more on today's episode of KniFAQ, number 232 of the series, where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the KnifeCenter. Welcome to the show. Say hi to Thomas behind the camera.
Reticulating splines.
Sure. If you're new to this series, what we do is we answer your questions, and we get those questions from the comments section below the videos. So drop your question below if you want to have it considered for a future episode. First question, and central to our topic today, comes from I Am Iran. Hi David, I'm looking for a knife that looks innocent to people that don't like knives. People react too much to my Civivi Elementum. I do want something that is a flipper with a decent lock that's not too expensive, but looks like a completely innocent knife. I'll help you out. And before I continue, however, I'm going to preemptively head off, hopefully some of you who are already running to the comments to scream about, these people are too sensitive and, snowflakes, this and that, which is probably an overused term, I would say, that only really serves to insult people. And nowadays, when we should be looking for ways to find common ground, we can look at this as an opportunity to change your coworkers. I'm assuming it's, well, for some reason I assumed you were talking about, your office space, but I guess you didn't. But look at this as an opportunity, because if we can find something that, goes under the radar a little bit, we might just put the bug into somebody. I almost said we might just stick somebody with the knife bug, but that's a little...
HR's online too.
So I feel your pain. And yes, it's a bummer that some of us have to kind of consider this sometimes because, a tool is a tool, in my opinion. But let's help you out anyway. Here is the Civivi Elementum. And I'm sort of shocked a little bit that, even an Elementum is too much for some places. But, I kind of get it. The reason is, look at this, especially in gray here, but the shape of the Elementum, it is gloriously unoffensive. It is just, a quintessential basic knife shape. And along with its quality, I think that's part of the reason that it has been such a successful knife. I mean, far and away, the best-selling budget knife we've had since its introduction, quite honestly. It's a hugely popular design. But no matter, what can we do? Well, my first instinct would be to suggest what I personally do. Keep carrying your Elementum, or whatever you want, for example, and you could pair it with a Swiss Army knife. This is what I have done for a long, long time, so that you have the options. Something especially like this Cadet model right here, which is super slim, just has a couple of implements, super classy looking, super slim and easy to carry, and it doesn't get more kind of widely acceptable than a Swiss Army knife, quite honestly, because it's less of a knife and more of a gadget in many people's minds, I would say. And it's partly why, speaking of success, Victorinox sells more Swiss Army knives than the rest of the industry sells knives, EDC knives put together pretty much. You can't argue with success. But if you don't want to go that way, I got some flippers here. And I'm going to approach it in kind of two chunks. First of which, if you want kind of the same blade length of the Elementum, I'm going to go with things that are a little bit narrower, because that's kind of, we'll get to this, but size of the knife, the shape overall, and the color, I think are the biggest things we can mix up. But let's start with the size and shape a little bit, not going too much smaller, but narrower in this case. Starting with the Civivi Sendi, a Ben Peterson design, 2.83-inch Nitro V blade in a drop point or a spay, but the drop point I think is a little more, a little less noteworthy, which will be an advantage here. $63 and some change. It is very narrow. This is the micarta option, but there are other handle flavors available. Very subtle flipper tab. That brings me to another point. Any knife that you pull out, that if you pull it out of your pocket and go whing, maybe tone it down a notch.
How do you go?
Whing. Did you need me to do that shot again, or are you just asking for funds?
I'm looking for loops.
Two-hand opening is far less eyebrow raising than wing. And yeah, even with a knife like this, that you can't grab the blade in the closed position, it has the little flipper tab. Just put your hand right here. You could slowly open it in two-hand open. Much more socially invisible, shall we say. Great slicing blade on this too. And like the gadget-like Swiss Army knife, we've also got toothpick and tweezers in the handle right here. So it's more of a knife than the Swiss Army knife, but it has a little bit of the gadget factor in it as well. And that could be an advantage. Wing, there you go. An even more budget-friendly option here is the Real Steel Iris. They have both front flipper and standard flipper versions. I'm not a huge front flipper fan, but unfortunately that's the only one we had on the shelf today. So you could slow roll open that, but they have a standard flipper as well. $32 for these, just under 3 inches long, 12C27 blade steel. So stainless, good stuff. Not quite as good in edge retention as the Sendy that we just looked at, but still I think very good, especially for a $32 knife. Folded steel frame, nice and slim, and colors. This is a Jade G10 model right here. It's a little more friendly. It's a little less, like tactical or like outdoorsman. I think like black and orange are like the worst colors for like friendlying up a knife, because those colors have connotations when applied to gear that you might be trying to avoid.
So the orange is a big pumpkin on the side.
Yeah, pumpkins are friendly. Sometimes spooky. Depends on the application. Wire pocket clip, nice and subtle when you're not using the knife. That clipped outside your pants pocket, doesn't necessarily scream knife. But anyway, this is a cool little design. I'm a big fan. Last but not least, the Carbon Knives, which is a Ken Onion brand, Tidbit right here. 3-inch blade, N690 steel, $80, a little bit pricier than some of the ones we've looked at. Most of the knives here are going to be on the affordable. I got a couple that are a little higher than this. $80, stainless steel handles with a frame lock, very graceful blade shape, and maybe that's enough, that narrower, graceful shape. But again, you could definitely very subtly open this two-handed to be a little more polite, so to speak. Or when you get home and you don't have to worry about those folks, there you go. Unless the problem is at home. I hadn't considered that.
Does your house have HR?
Even more than these kind of like narrower, more slender options, I think going smaller and cuter can have a very good effect. And the knife that got me kind of kicked off on this tangent, we just showed it earlier this week on our new Knives of the Week video, the Pepperwool Design Merino MM. And a smaller, more colorful knife can take a more tactical blade shape like a Tonto blade that you see right here and make it not feel so aggressive. I don't think this is an aggressive looking knife. This is one of the more expensive options here, $130, so it's not a budget knife, but you do get S35 VN for the blade steel, a little bit over 2 inches long. You have the flipper tab and a crossbar lock, so it's not the crispest flipping action, and for my larger hands it is a little more awkward, but it can be done. As you can see, the crossbar lock is super fun, but again, that two-hand open is going to be your friend, I think. White G10 handles, blue titanium nitride finish on the blade, very cool blue pocket clip. This kind of feels more like a tech gadget in a way than a knife. It has that kind of modern, clean design aesthetic to it, which I think could pay off in this situation. Next up, the mini Corvid flipper from Concept. This one is $107. There are less expensive versions available, but it isn't until you get towards some of the higher end versions that you get, I think, this friendlier aesthetic. Some of the, they've got one here that, is green with like what looks like red blood spatters on the handle. That's not gonna do what you want, I don't think. But this version right here, we've got gradient dimpled titanium handles. That's just neat. That's cool. Frame lock. It is a flipper. 1.45 inch blade. Yes, you could still flip it. Even on this smaller size, this might be a size where, like, I don't know if flipping this knife would be, too much for the scared of knives folks, but if you don't want to flip it and you want to be subtlest, two-hand open is great. And just like the pepper wool, this creates, takes what would normally be a big intimidating blade and making it into something a little more, enjoyable, a little more fun than, well, depends on, I like the big fun cleavers too, but I think that could be a good option. Back into budget realm. Let's keep it small, keep it colorful. The Squid series from CRKT, Lucas Burnley designs. Two in particular in the lineup right now, the Squid Compact with the light blue G10, essentially a Tiffany blue handle right here. Definitely softens the edges, so to speak. 37 bucks, 1 3/4 inch blade, D2 tool steel. So even though it's small and budget friendly, edge retention is going to be high on the list of priorities, and you've got a stainless steel frame lock for security. So even though it's small and is only a 2.5 finger grip for me, the height of the handle and the sturdiness of the lock help me feel confident if I need to cut bigger than this knife should be used for, if you know what I mean. Like, it feels secure enough, in both in my hand in the way and in the way it locks up, that you could do something like that. This is an assisted opening knife, so yeah, you could flick it or flip it. You also have thumb studs to open it, but again, two-hand open is your friend. Yes, that's a good option. You've also got this one's not a flipper actually. Apologize for that. I got onto the Squid series because I was looking at this flipper and then forgot about with this one. But the button lock Squid could be an option too. $60 here. 2 3/4 or just over 2 1/4 inch blade, 14C 28N steel here. Simple drop point shape, nothing too exciting, quote unquote, with either of these. They're both, non-aggressive, non-threatening looking of a shape, at least in my opinion. The button lock there with the pink G10 here, again, really softens things up. You've got finger safe closing action, but again, be nice. Be kind, rewind, so to speak. This one gives you a little bit more in the handle department as well. It's a full 3 fingers for me. Also from CRKT, keeping it small, we're combining the smallness and the narrowness now. 2 designs from Richard Rogers. We've got the CEO Compact and we have the Pup right here. Very similar designs as you can see. The CEO Compact comes in 60 bucks. You've got, what is the blade steel on this? 4116. There's more stuff that holds an edge better in this price range, but this executive styling is very sleek, very tech oriented, maybe too pointy for some. I don't know, 2.61 inches on the blade. The handles are injection molded, but they feel almost like aluminum in the way this color has been applied. Yes, you got a flipper tab, so you can still have fun, but when you need to be more subtle, do I need to say it again? And then the Pup, $47 here, just over 2 inches on the blade, AUS 10 for the blade steel, which is a really nice get in this price range. It's a higher end non-powder stainless, so it's up there, kind of sitting at the transition of traditional or conventionally made steels before we get into like powder metallurgy stuff like the S35VN we were talking about earlier. This is like kind of the top of the heap of desirability before making that or crossing that divide, so to speak. GRN handles here as well, but again have a similar, aluminum-like texture and black injection molded handles with dimples right here. Inset liner lock, very cool looking pocket clip. Again, it's small yet still functional. You can still two-hand open it, or someone could flip it. There you go. You could flip it right there as well. Again, itty bitty, but very, very nice. All right, last but not least, these last few may be going a little too far close back to what the Elementum is, but I still kind of wanted to show it. I had them out. I was debating whether to put them on the table or not, but I figured what the heck. The Corgi Pup from Vosteed could be an option. This one's about 99 bucks, S35 VN for the blade, 2.4 inches on it. Ultim handles here, kind of look interesting. And yes, it does have a flipper tab, as you can see right there. Or you could open it two-handed, which I've been saying with every one of these, but anyway. 3.5 finger grip for my particular length, or 3.5 finger length for my particular grip. So this really is the meatiest feeling handle on the table so far, even meatier, I would say, than the original Elementum. But brings back a bit of that bulk. Is the coloration and slimmer blade profile enough to bring it back? I don't know, you're gonna have to decide there, but they are pretty nicely made. And I went with the that version as opposed to like the newer versions, the Corgi V. I kind of like the design unity of this version even better, but this one right here is pretty darn close to what the Elementum is bringing to the table, so it's not going to change too many minds there. 89 bucks for what it's worth here, 2.95 inch blade and 690. And last but not least, one of the first things I thought of, but not a flipper, so I put it here at the end. KNAFs with their Lander series knives, both the original and the Lander 3, which are the same size. The Lander 1 with a liner lock and D2 blade steel is less than 50 bucks. This one right here, 140 with a 2 3/4 inch S35 VN blade. Really cool handles. They do a lot of fun handles, both factory direct as well as aftermarket. There is a lot of stuff from sellers, both like official companies as well as marketplace makers that do stuff one-off, kind of just to bring in a little extra coin on the side. So there's a lot of options you could seek out if one of the factory options isn't available to you. If you want to go with my original thesis, carry a Swiss Army knife alongside your Elementum, there's a lot of aftermarket stuff for the Elementum too. If you want to, friendly up your Elementum's handles, you might be able to find something as well. I hope that helps. It's kind of fun to think about.
I just said utility blade.
I could sort of see that argument.
If it looks more like a tool, then it might be a little more approachable.
I think that would probably be environment specific. I hear what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree with you. But if this is an office situation, I think that would kind of not work so well.
Open boxes.
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't mean people aren't hoplophobes. Situation dependent. Maybe the right utility knife could work. Like those new Demco ones are really cool, but those are kind of big and chunky and aggressive looking. And they're black and orange handle options, which are the two ones I said not to go with. So.
There's those James Brand ones.
There's some things out there. Could be an option, but that might be too... I think if it's blue collar people, they're not going to bat an eye too much at a knife. The utility blade razor thing feels too blue collar for people who might be offended by a knife. But, I could be wrong. Take Thomas's advice as well. All right. That's the only full question for today because I knew it was going to be a longer one. We're moving on to Damyr's Buried Treasure, where thanks to his initial question many episodes ago, we've been going through the alphabet, showing something that's never been shown on the channel before, and this is the final installment. Second time around the alphabet, and just like the first, X, Y, and Z, there's not a lot in brands, brands that start with those letters for us to do much, so we're combining them, X, Y, Z, and the brand today is Shin Core. Shin Cutlery, I should say. And I've got two of their kitchen knife models here that are just very, very cool. Relatively affordable for what you're getting. Not crazy affordable, but pretty cool materials going on. This is their utility knife, 4.7 inch blade, very thin in that typical Asian tradition with a very thin, steep edge. 168 bucks for this VG10 Core Damascus. The handles, rosewood with white buffalo horn bolsters. Very, very cool. Now, buffalo horn is a material that, by its very nature, is not a stabilizable bone. Well, it's not bone, but it's a material that can shift a little bit with temperature and all that. So it's not as super stable. So you might feel some edges like between the bone and the metal right here. That's not a mark of any lack or mark of quality. It's just what happens naturally. This version right here, their Santoku knife, same materials overall, is on sale right now for $160 and some change. So it's actually less than the utility knife by a couple bucks. 7.6 inch blade on that Damascus right there. So yeah, if you don't like the idea of the buffalo horn moving around, buy something else. They have other things in their lineup that don't have that material. But I think that's something that's not often brought up with that type of material. So I wanted to use this opportunity as well, in addition to showing you something that hasn't been seen on the channel before, to pass on a little bit of knowledge. Hope that helps. All right, now we're on to the lightning round for today. And can we call it a lightning round if there's only one question in it this time?
Circles around.
Yeah, but a 1 is a straight line.
Not if you bend it.
Is it a 1 at that point anymore? KG counts. Hey DCA and Thomas. Question slash suggestion. What bladeless multi-tools are TSA compliant? Also, is there a process for manufacturers to have their products considered TSA compliant? Second part of your question, there is no system. TSA, if you ever see the term TSA certified, it's frankly not true, because the TSA does not certify any products. They put their guidelines out. Someone can say it's TSA compliant, but TSA does not certify anything. There is no mechanism for that. What bladeless multi-tools are TSA compliant? You can check out a video we did a little bit ago on TSA travel options. We'll link to it up here. But newer ones on the market that are worth mentioning, Victorinox's Companion X, which is scissors only, and their Companion S, which is basically an Alox aluminum handled version of their Rambler. Comes with a Phillips head and bottle opener and a pair of scissors on the opposite side. The standard Rambler also has toothpick and tweezers. Those are worth a look, and they're in the $30 range, both of those. But I think the most exciting one right now is the Roxxon Flex series. There's the full-size pliers-based multi-tool. There's the Flex Companion and the Flex Companion Mini, which is even smaller. But the Flex Companion at $50 does come with bladed implements, but this is a modular multi-tool. You can change out the tools that wouldn't get through TSA, like the blade. And it comes pre-packaged with bladeless options you can put in and carry this TSA friendly. And it's super quick too. Here, I'll pull the blade out. There, the blade is out. What else needs to come out? The saw needs to come out to get us through a theoretical TSA checkpoint, keeping in mind, of course, that TSA does have the final say. They still could take this away from you, but technically it is compliant. Pen, tweezers, and sewing needle or pin right there, and a metal comb right there. Oops. There we go. Super quick. And there are tons of tools which you could choose from and really set this up exactly how you want it. The purple, again, going with friendlier colors, because, you know, unfortunately there's no knife you could swap out that's gonna make TSA change their mind, but at least we got cool stuff like this. Oh, I almost forgot, on the back side, you can't change this out, but there's a 1/4 inch bit driver. That you can change out, but not the driver itself. Hope that helps. All right, now we come to our most final question of today, which is, of course, our most serious question of the day. And if you've watched last week's episode, we talked about the extraterrestrial influence on the knife industry, and thankfully, they've allowed us to live. They've allowed us to stay on the air. We haven't gotten.
Remember that.
Remember what? Never mind. And we haven't gotten taken down. But you guys keep pushing it. Jake Smith asks, "Hey David, most serious question. An alien race has stolen all of the iron on our planet. Assuming the wold doesn't implode." Big assumption, and keeps turning as usual. What is our new base knife material? Thanks. I would say our new best option for making knives would be flattery. Whatever our hopefully benevolent new overlords would allow us, that's going to be the material. Otherwise, it's going to be back to the Bronze Age for us. More exotic stuff is available. Titanium, you know, some of the dendritic cobalt stuff. I don't know if that has any iron in it. I don't think it has any iron in it, but
I'm more worried about what we're going to make screws out of.
yeah, we might just be screwed. But yeah, those wouldn't be good like base materials. I think we're gonna have to get used to bronze again. Anyway, hopefully that's not the case, however. Stop asking me about aliens. I don't know how long we're gonna be able to keep going in the face of such, you know, technologically superior beings.
Especially if they take our iron.
Hands off our iron. It's a new t-shirt. I can see it now. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today, folks. Let me know if you've got any alternate suggestions. What are your favorite kind of non-knife friendly people knife options? I think you know what I mean. Drop those suggestions down in the comments as well. And if you want to get your hands on any of these products, check out the links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of these knives today is let you earn some free money to spend on a future knife. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time. Wing. To scream about anyway. The knife bug. Wing. I feel your pain anyway. The knife bug. Wing. I feel your pain. To scream about bug. Wing. I feel your pain anyway. The knife bug. Wing. I feel your pain.